In today's episode of the Motorhome Matt Podcast,
we consider new versus used with a live debate with two motorhome dealers and an industry journalist.
In the news, that leisure shop is now open at Chelston Motorhomes.
Woohoo! And we answer your questions on warranty cover for adapted motorhomes, food at motorhome shows, and buying a motorhome versus a campervan.
Welcome to the Motorhome Matt Podcast. I'm Keith Gooden.
And I'm Motorhome Matt.
Industry insights and expert advice for the world of motorhomes, caravans and campervans. And it's brought to you by thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Ripe.
Now remember, follow on your favourite podcast app and please make sure you subscribe on YouTube.
First of all, delve into the news then, Matt. And that leisure shop at Chelston is fully open.
It is, yeah. We had an amazing weekend just gone. It was our open weekend, our very first kind of event there. Thank you to everyone that came along and said hello. We had a great time, and yeah, the shop is now fully open. Junction 26 is open too, and so easy to get to. We look forward to seeing you. If you've not made it yet, please do pop in if you're heading north or south.
Yeah, that's Junction 26 in Wellington on the M5.
Yeah, we're open Monday to Saturday every week. So do check out thatleisureshop.com for full details of the address, but it's dead easy to find.
Matt, you've been telling me that Ripe have been making quite a few changes recently.
Yeah, and the best bit is their changes driven by feedback from owners like our listeners. For example, they've raised the insurance value limit from £100,000 to £120,000, and that's opened the door for loads more motorhomes to be covered.
That's really a decent jump, isn't it?
It is, yeah. They've also added commuting cover for campervans, something people were asking for. And they've made it easier to insure a brand new unregistered vehicle before you collect it. And if you've got a self-built campervan, they're happy to cover it as long as you meet their criteria.
So they're not just selling policies, they're actually adapting them.
Exactly. Agile, listening and making changes that matter. So if you want to see what Ripe can do for you, click the link in the description.
Our show feature this week, Matt, it's the Malvern Caravan and Motorhome Show, 3rd to the 5th of October at the Three Counties Showground.
Yeah, we're heading back to the beautiful showground.
Gorgeous. At
the foot of the Malvern Hills. I love this show. It's indoor and outdoor. Loads of motorhomes and campervans for sale. The great thing about this show is you see all the 2025 models still heavily reduced because dealers need to sell them because the 2026 models are starting to arrive, and they are starting to feature at the show too, plus loads of traders. That leisure shop will be there. We're at the back corner of one of the halls indoors, so do come and say hello. No advice centre at this show. People often say, oh, where's the advice centre? And there isn't one at this show, so be prepared, there's no advice centre, but I will be there on the That Leisure Shop stand all weekend with our show team, Jude, Fliss and Andy, so we'll see you there.
So how much does it cost and how do you get your tickets then, Matt?
Brilliant, yeah, they are such great value. £85 for 4 nights camping, entertainment every night. You can come for the day as a day visitor and there's a discount on the day ticket. Just head to mhmp.info/shows for all the details.
So the main topic of this week's podcast, Matt, what is it?
It's about buying a motorhome, whether you should go new or used, the pros and cons of both. Which is best or which is betterest is a word I thought you would use.
It's one of your words again, like glodulate.
Coagulate. That was the word. I knew there was a word.
There is a word.
You have to listen to a previous episode.
But it's not glodulate.
It's not glodulate.
No, but it's a good word.
So Warner's allowed me to do this live on stage at the Southwest Motorhome and Campervan show at Shepton Mallet. And I was delighted to ask Sarah Foord and Tom Lauer and Peter Vaughan to join me on stage to have this debate live. So I'm really grateful to you both for coming up today. Can you just give us a quick intro about you and your business? We'll start with you, Sarah, is that all right?
Yeah, of course. So next year's our 20th year of trading. We started as a hire company, built up to having a NCC-approved workshop. We now sell majority of used. I'd say 75% of our stuff is new, and we have a smattering of used. And we've kept loyal to 2 or 3 brands that we've had from the very beginning all the way through.
Okay, brilliant. Tom, tell us a bit about your business.
Good morning. My name's Tom. I own Somerset Motorhome Centre. I've been in the industry for 35 years, since I was 11, and started off working at a main dealer, stayed there for almost 20 years, and set up on my own 15 years ago.
And of course, you've both got big stands here, which you may have already visited. If you haven't, make sure you do. And Peter, tell us a bit about yourself. You genuinely did start doing journalism in your
I started
teenage.
writing about motorhomes when I was 14.
20 years ago.
Other kids were out playing football and things, but I was writing about motorhomes. I was a very strange child.
And you, of course, have reviewed probably, we reckon, thousands of new and used
Yeah,
motorhomes.
everything from the little tiny micro campers to Concorde A-classes.
So you've got what I call a helicopter view of this topic as we discuss the pros and cons of new and used and the challenges of both. And we are going to pick on some challenges. So, Sarah, can I ask you to make a case then, as we delve into the pros and cons of new, make us a case for choosing a new motorhome over a used one?
So obviously I'm biased, selling majority
That's
of
fine.
new
You could be
vans.
biased.
I always buy new cars. I like new motorhomes. It's nice to be able to spec something exactly how you want. It's also nice to be able to build from the manufacturer. With the Malibus, we build from chassis all the way up. There's probably 120 different options you can have on it. New gives you a better security within the dealer network in terms of warranty. Some of the Malibu motorhomes have now got a 5-year extended warranty on, which includes the chassis. The manufacturers are moving towards that as a greater peace of mind. Detlef are doing a 10-year warranty on the water ingress, which is pretty standard now across the new. I think Sunlight, again, are doing 5 years warranty on the new, and we're backing it up with an extra 5 years as well. So it's about peace of mind, buying a new vehicle, having the support from Fiat, from ourselves, and moving forward.
Okay, that all sounds reasonable. We are going to come back to some of what you've just claimed.
Please do.
Tom, make the case for Vinted, for pre-loved.
Vinted.
I've got some newer ones as well now, you know that, don't you? Well, I'm also going to be a bit biased for used, because we don't sell any new vehicles whatsoever. We'll sell vehicles sort of up to 6 months old, but not brand new ones themselves. While I was at a main dealer, I got heavily involved with selling new vehicles, and perhaps that's the reason when I set up on my own that I decided not to go down that route. I don't think there's two reasons why I don't do new vehicles. I think from a selfish and a business point of view, I still don't feel that the relationship between a new dealer and the manufacturer is anywhere near what it should be. It's nothing like the car industry. Whereas if you sell a used vehicle, people come in, they see the vehicle they're going to buy, they can look over it, they can spend all day going through it, and when they come to collect it 2 or 3 weeks later, they're actually picking up the vehicle they saw 3 weeks ago, and that's what it is. When people buy new vehicles, their expectations, and rightly so for the cost of a new vehicle, is, you buy brand new, and when you ask people why do you want a new one, well, we don't want any problems. We want to buy a brand new one and have no problems whatsoever. My experience with new ones is that you'd be very lucky to find a customer that's bought a brand new one without any issues. So it has to go back to the dealer for 2 or 3 things to be done. Whereas often a used one, someone can have a vehicle for a year, had a few issues with it and got rid of it after a year. The next owner buys it, all those issues are sorted out. Someone else has sorted those out for them. So they then will have trouble-free motoring. So that's the reason why I just do used.
A good case. Is that anyone's experience here with buying new? Show of hands quickly. Yeah, a few people. So, Peter, your view then on new versus used. You've owned several motorhomes or campervans of your own.
I've owned a couple. The first one we bought second-hand, purely on budget. It was very low mileage, one-owner vehicle, suited our needs. And having used loads and loads of other people's vans, I knew what I wanted, but I couldn't afford new. And it was a toe in the water to see whether we'd get enough use out of it with me spending so much time in other people's vehicles. Yeah. The second one we bought, our needs had changed slightly, and we bought all but new, and we didn't have that lovely option of speccing it because it was already built, but it was to all intent, it was a demo vehicle. It was to all intents and purposes, it was brand new, but we didn't. I wish I'd been able to say, have that colour upholstery and that colour external paint, but the vehicle was already built.
And I guess that's the privilege of buying new, is you can spec it as you want it, but you have to afford it. So I just want to dive backstage a minute. We'll come back to some of the things you've highlighted. We've seen over recent months and the last year or so, a number of dealerships, I'm sure you've seen it in the news, I've been talking about it on the podcast, a number of dealerships, particularly new dealerships selling new vehicles, sadly folding or going bust and giving up. Sarah, I want to pick your brain on that challenge and what effect is it having on you and why is it happening?
So I personally think a lot of the pressures that we're facing as dealers, so let's be really straight. So we are a dealership, I'm an independent company. It's all my headache. I have to fix, if you reject a vehicle, I have to take that pain myself. The manufacturer don't get involved in that whatsoever. A little bit maybe if it's a Fiat, but mainly manufacturers don't support. What I think has happened in the last couple of years, we've obviously had COVID, everyone got very excited about ordering. I think if I look at the repossessions I've been involved in recently, they've been badly spec'd, ordered incorrectly, painful stock to sell. And I think unless you're prepared to stand up to the manufacturer and say, actually, no, I won't be pushed. No, that will not go on my line. I will not take that credit hit at the moment. The business doesn't need those vehicles. I think that's, for the two I've been involved in, I would say they've been mismanaged in that respect.
So you're saying badly spec'd by the manufacturer?
No, I would say badly spec'd by the dealership.
Right, okay.
Is that inexperienced dealers that have come into the market more recently?
No, I just think, as Tom will know himself, when it's your own money and you're making that financial commitment as I am, I individually spec each one coming into me. I know what fabric I want. I go to all the launches. I check the engines. I check the chassis packs. I literally order what I know will sell. And I think within the two I've been involved with, that hasn't had that level of clarity.
Right, so that attention to detail of the spec has not
100%.
been prevalent.
Yeah, 100%. Because the last thing you want is a vehicle that's you've ordered, it is not right, and it sits on your line and costs you.
Sits on your credit line.
Sits on your credit line and
which
costs you the
money.
pain. Yeah, 100%.
And are you suffering this issue I keep hearing of overstocking, where you've just got too much stock? Because that's expensive.
Yeah, 100%. So what has happened this year is some of the manufacturers have come through with better stocking days, with longer periods. We're seeing 365 days plus in interest-free. So that there's lots of incentives. I think for me as a business, it's very easy. And I'm sure from your days you have this experience to go, oh, brilliant, 365 days free. Well, a year goes really quickly in our life, right?
Yeah.
So that's important for me to manage. You know, I have responsibility for the 20 people who work for me to make sure that I've managed it correctly, ordered correctly, provided them with a portfolio they can retail.
And the wall you hit after those stocking days is you've got to pay for it.
Oh, 100%.
You start paying huge interest and
completely.
you start paying big chunks of owning that vehicle.
Yeah.
And that's where it can go wrong very quickly. Tom, you don't have that issue.
No,
so you go out and try
we don't
and
have that issue
buy
at all
something.
because when you're selling new vehicles, you've then got to predict what vehicles you want for next season, and you have to start ordering them now. Because correct me, Peter, you'll know more about this than I will do. But many years ago, when I visited the Fiat factory, they were building right-hand vehicles, but they were only building them 3 weeks in a year. Is that still the case?
I'm not quite sure how Fiat do that now, but
right.
there's been terrific problems with right-hand drive chassis, especially from Fiat, and the manufacturers then have had the problem that they're building a big batch of right-hand drives. They all come into the country at the same time, which gives the dealers the issue because they don't want 20 of those arriving at once. They want 5 in the spring, 5 a bit later on, 5 a bit later on.
I got the impression when I was out there that the right-hand drive market for Fiat was just a pain in the neck for them. And they only allocated the workshops because everything had to be rejigged to build a right-hand drive vehicle. And it's such a small market for a European company like Fiat, worldwide company, that the factory was changed for 3 weeks to build the right-hand drive vehicles. So the knock-on effect for that is manufacturers like Swift and Eldis, they then have to order their X amount of thousand chassis a year in advance, which is why they then go to the dealers, and the dealers have to order their stock a year in advance. Well, we're predicting, the new dealers are predicting what's going to happen and what they're going to need to order, and markets can change quite quickly between that. But just going back to not being a new dealer, some of the reasons why I still didn't want to do it is that you can go to a manufacturer, and if they're looking for a dealer network, say, yes, I'll be a dealer for ABC Motorhomes, they won't let you become a dealer until you've got a credit line facility in place. Even if you had the money to buy it from the manufacturer, they won't let you buy it. You have to have a credit line facility with one of the banks like Black Horse or whatever. So these dealers are setting up, you know how much a new vehicle costs to put 30 or 40 new vehicles into stock. You're talking millions of pounds. So they'll set up a credit line with Black Horse or somewhere like that. And the reason why the manufacturer does that is because when he's built that vehicle and it's ready and it's being driven off the production line, he can then put that vehicle on the dealer's credit line. So he's done. He's built it, presses a button, goes on the credit line and tells the dealer, your vehicle's ready and it's on your credit line. So as far for financing-wise for the manufacturer, that's brilliant. He's built it, presses a button, they then get the money. So then that gets delivered to the dealer with 360 days free stocking or whatever. But when that vehicle arrives, it's great. The dealer wants to sell it, but it's a brand new vehicle. So when a customer goes to look at that vehicle, he buys a brand new vehicle because he wants everything to be brand new. He doesn't want a mark on it. He doesn't want a crease in the curtain. He doesn't want a slight wear and tear on the cushion. He wants everything to be brand new. Well, when that vehicle arrives with the dealer, it's quite a while ago I did this, so correct me if I'm wrong. But when it used to arrive with us as a dealer, you had 48 hours to check that vehicle over. Well, if they're delivering you 6 at one time on the back of a lorry, inevitably they turn up 5 o'clock on a Friday. Very often you didn't even look at that vehicle for a week. So you then look at it and think, oh, there's some damage on the sink and there's this, because it just comes out of a factory. Unless you've reported those faults within 48 hours, that's your problem. They would turn around to the dealer and say, well, you didn't report those faults within 48 hours, so how do we know you haven't damaged the vehicle? So I think the point I'm making is that there's so much pressure on the dealer, and I think sometimes customers don't realise this. A dealer for new vehicles is a dealing in, let's say, Detlef as an example. But once that vehicle's left the factory, the backup for the dealer, for the manufacturer, is next to nothing.
So when the Detlefs arrive with us, we get a week to check them over.
A week, okay.
A week, okay. The biggest issue we have is they batch build. So for factory streamlining, they will, there's a dealer network of Detlefs. They will build all the Alpas in 1 3-week period. So every dealer in the UK will then be hit with an A-class Alpa or low-profile Alpa, whatever. So we've lost our marketing edge by going, every year we plan, we want this here, we want this here, we want that. And that is one of our biggest issues. I think, make no mistake, when it arrives on our forecourt, it's our responsibility. Yeah. Unless we spend several hours doing a warranty on that little mark, that smudge on a cushion, that whatever. I've got member staff that just as warranty, he will send it off to Detlef, they will peruse it, they will email it back. We will have wasted probably 100, 120 quids of our time. And so sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just suck it up and do it ourselves. And it's just that easy.
And I think that's what the manufacturers
want us to do.
Work on the fact that, the dealer will just end up doing it themselves. But I think sometimes you as customers, if you were going to go and buy a brand new Ford vehicle and you had some engine issues with it or whatever, you take it back to Ford and they will say, oh yeah, we've got special, we'll get you another one. We'll replace that with a brand new one. That Ford vehicle then will be put on a transporter back to Ford UK. And they will sort it all out with the dealer and reimburse them, whatever. If that happens with a motorhome, you're not back to the manufacturer, are you? It's all landing on the dealer's. And this is a very small analogy. Yeah. If you go and buy a brand new house, you buy a brand new house because you might have had 2 or 3 houses. Let's have a brand new one, we'll have no problems. With a brand new house, you're going to have some issues. And I think most people that bought a new house know that after 30 or 60 days, the builder comes back with, what do they call it? Snagging list. But it's not Connells, the estate agent, that goes back with a snagging list. It's the chap that built it. He goes back with a snagging list. And if there's a few things wrong, it's the builder that goes back and repairs it. In our example, if the customer comes back with a snagging list, we're the typical estate agent, if you like. It's down to us. You wouldn't go back to your estate agent to say, I've got a few things wrong with my new house. Can the lady behind the desk at Connells come out with a toolbox and repair it? They don't. They would go back to the builder. And so I do have, even though I don't do new vehicles, I've got a huge amount of sympathy for people that sell.
I was going to say, what word have you used?
And with us selling used, we can have we keep about 70 to 80 used vehicles in stock. We have a good weekend like we're having here. It's been a great weekend. So next week we go out on the hunt looking for used vehicles, and we've got a great relationship with some big dealers in the country that generate more used than they can financially cope with. So we've got some, and with used, we can pick and choose. They'll ring us up and say, we've got 5 or 6 used vehicles. We know the industry really, really well. We know what's selling at the moment, and we can pick and choose which ones we want. With new, you haven't got. They're just going to turn up whether you want them or not. So if we had a bad weekend, next week we don't buy any. So it's a lot easier to control your bit from my point of view to control it when you're just doing that.
That's a great insight into the issues you face, but really we don't care.
Thanks.
As consumers, it's a good case for a sob story.
You care. Oh, thank you, Tom.
Tom cares.
Tom cares.
That's
Right,
sweet,
yeah.
isn't it?
Oh,
You watch outside, they'll have her in a headlock. They'll be wrestling over that customer that can't
she'd
decide.
win.
She keeps horses, so yeah, she's got strong hands. So one of the issues I refer to is overstocking, and manufacturers putting pressure on dealerships for overstocking. Manufacturers are starting to address this, aren't they, Peter? And production has slowed.
Yeah, and
in
some
the last year.
manufacturers had months of not building anything this year in the early part of the year because there was massive overstocking. And if you think there's been overstocking in the UK, the situation has been far, far worse in Germany, which I think has put more pressure on the UK because some of those German manufacturers have gone, oh, hell, we're not selling anything in Germany. We need to push some into the UK where they are still buying them.
Yeah. So that means the pressure will come off as we step into the coming year. But Sarah, you cause a problem then because you've got lots of stock and the manufacturer is saying to you, you've got to get rid of your 2025 stuff because 26 is coming and we need you to have space on your credit line and your tarmac to take it. So they give you an incentive and they help you with a big discount. We're seeing lots of brand new vehicles here. In fact, I think all of them I've seen are heavily discounted. Have you seen that? And some of them are 10 or 15,000 pounds off. Now, it's important to say the manufacturer helps fund that discount.
Yes.
That isn't your margin because you've got so much money.
So the
in them.
manufacturers are bringing discounts to the market at the moment. Yeah,
And
you're right.
is that helping? Because the market's slowed down. We're out there buying at a much slower pace than we were certainly in 2020. Where you could list a transit van with a mattress in the back and sell it for £1 million
Tom would sell it, yeah.
in an hour.
We forgot to get the mattress.
Tom's still trying. But what impact is those discounts having? Is that helping keep the cogs moving?
So we're quite different to a lot of the big dealers. We're quite boutique-y. We've only got 3 brands, so we keep as many as we can in stock that we can do. However, you are right. There are dealerships around that are discounting stock. There are dealerships that are trying to trade out entire brands of new vehicles. I've seen that recently. I've seen there's a company not too far away that is acquiring new stock and selling it as pre-registered. It's having a huge impact on the industry, and it's being noted. I think there's a moment where there will be some fallout with new dealers. It's been noted by the manufacturers, the dealers that are doing that and kind of black marked. They won't get stock again. The feedback I've had from Dusseldorf and from ordering is I believe there's going to be a shortage of 2026 vehicles out there because the dealers aren't confident to buy at the moment.
Yeah, and manufacturers have
the manufacturers
turned
turned down orders at
and production.
Dusseldorf.
Yeah, and manufacturers are reducing the number of vehicles they're building.
So actually dealerships have been told they cannot order.
Yeah.
So what impact does that have on price? Let's get into the screen price. If 26 models are in short supply, that just means the price goes up and stays strong.
So Pilot are bringing their price down for next year. I believe I've been told their 2026 stock is about £5,000 to £7,000 cheaper than their 2025 stock.
Right.
I think the NEC is going to be really interesting this year because it is all about price, and people are desperately trying to clear 25 to go to 26. I have not extended myself in 26 because we need profit is not a dirty word. No. We need to make money on the units that we're making, and we want to support the brands we do. We don't drop stock and sell it to other dealers pre-reg.
So that profit is what keeps your 20 staff employed. That's
100%.
Profit's crucial. That's the sanity of it. But Tom, for you then, I've got a 2023 model, and I paid pretty much full screen price for it. And now there's dealers out there selling the brand new ones for 15 grand off. That hurts the value of my 2023 used model.
It does, yeah. There's no two ways about that.
How do you deal with that? I mean, how do you value them?
The first thing we do is look at what a vehicle was. When someone comes to part exchange a vehicle, let's say they've got a 2 or 3 year old vehicle, we look at what that price list is for that new vehicle today. Now, during COVID times, and possibly a year after COVID, up till about 23, you could look at that new price of, say, £70,000 and say, okay, a new one's £70,000. So your second-hand price would work off that. Now, we look at a new vehicle being the list price of £70,000. In our mind, we're thinking, okay, really, that's £65,000, because as you can do when you walk around the show, you can see the discounts they're putting on the vehicles. What I'm looking forward to is next year now, when the demand will still be there. But demand never seems to go away, does it, Peter?
No,
The demand is still there. But the supply has got back to normality. Whereas we went through a massive roller coaster during COVID of no supply whatsoever, biggest demand ever, and that held prices high. And and we all knew it was going to change, but I don't think anybody thought it was going to change so quickly. All of a sudden, there was a massive supply. The supply was much bigger than the demand, and therefore that's why you've got these prices being discounted. And when I walk around the show here and speak to other dealers, you know, I look at the price that they've got on screen of some of these new vehicles, and believe you me, they're selling that at cost, almost at cost price.
The thing that interests me looking around the show is some of the vehicles here that are 3 or 4 years old are almost the price of some of the discounted new.
Yeah.
And that seems a massive problem for the industry.
It is.
For both of you.
Well, it's a problem for you if you've got a 23 or 24 plate motorhome, because you say, well, I can buy a brand new one for the same money as you think yours is worth.
I think I totally agree with you, but I think that the ones, if you look around, the stuff that's really being discounted, without naming brands, are probably brands that I wouldn't take anyway.
Right.
So
I would agree with.
So there's an oversupply of some of those budget entry ones. I don't know if you guys walking around, you see some of the stuff that's got this big, you know, chalk mark on the window saying £15,000 off. You know, I look at that and think, well, it was never worth £80,000 in the first place. That vehicle's probably found its true value in the marketplace we're in now. That vehicle went up over COVID and really should have come back down again. But I think this year...
This year, dealer with the chalk mark windscreen on the phone. I always joke.
May I suggest you get rid of the piece of chalk?
I always joke it's so heavily discounted they can't afford a proper screen board. I hate it. It's like 1980s
it as well. I can't imagine
stuff.
why anybody would do that.
But do you not think, though, that a lot of the vehicles that are discounted are where dealerships have taken on marginal brands to add to their portfolio in COVID,
just to get sales,
to get vehicles
and they've overordered.
But I think it's across all brands. I mean, some seem to have quite small discounts, but there are some really big brands in the UK, both British and continental brands, that you can look in the magazines, look on the websites, and there's 15 grand off some of these, or more.
Let me just try and explain very briefly, because I know time's against us, about why I think that is. That, to me, would be a dealer hasn't been in the industry for many years, but they're doing it. They've got a stocking line that's absolutely full. What I mean by that is a credit line that's full up. So they've then got a manufacturer ringing them up every day saying, we've got 4 more vehicles here for you, and there's no room on your credit line. You're full. So they've then got to make room on their credit line. And the only way they can make room on their credit line is to take some vehicles off. And the only way they can remove vehicles off the credit line is to sell them. So they don't care whether, if they're going to have to sell them for cost, they'll do them for cost, because they're trying to make room then, and then another load gets put on by the manufacturer. And to me, with the years' experience I've got, that is a spiral of
there's
trouble.
no profit.
It's
and the
they'll have a
dealership
massive turnover with no profit at the end of the year.
But again, Tom, we don't really care. We're consumers. We just want to save money. This is good news for us.
Okay, well, let me give you a little tip then, right? Find the dealer that's got too much on his credit line and needs to make some room.
Okay.
But I don't know how you do that.
Inside, I was going to say, how on earth do you do that? Yeah. So let's talk about depreciation. Is there a particular type of motorhome or model that is the sort of most ring-fenced from depreciation? Tom, you see this more in the used market as only dealing in used. Yep. Which you say there's certain types you would avoid. You may not want to name them. But is there a certain chassis type or model type or design and style that you would avoid?
Not it's more of a manufacturer that I would. There's certain manufacturers that I would avoid. I mean, we do some heavy advertising because we don't sell new. We're always looking for used stock. So we do some heavy advertising, not necessarily to sell vehicles. It's more of a try and buy vehicles, nice vehicles. And there's certain models that makes and models that people will ring up and will go, no, it's not for us. It's not for us. That your European vehicles, really good. Bürstners, Detlefs. Any of that European brand's good. The traditional vehicles in the UK, the Swifts, the Eldises, really good sellers. We particularly have a passion for van conversions. We do really well with panel van conversions. And again, we look at our business, we look at the dealers we've got around us, and we go on their websites. They might have 80 vehicles in stock, 3 panel vans. So we've always got a good selection of panel vans. So good quality panel vans are probably my favourite vehicles.
And do you think they're a trend at the moment? Are they here to stay?
They're here to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for you, Sarah, you say about badly or poorly spec'd vehicles. Is there a particular type which is your best seller and features that we should consider adding that are going to help add value to it used?
So I'm with Tom on the van conversions, 100%. We sell more van conversions than coach builds.
Right.
We have more people coming from bigger A-classes down into van conversions, particularly with the Malibu range we've got. And also Detlef brought out van conversions last year.
Yeah.
They've been really well received. I think for us, in terms of specification, it's about the chassis and what options you've put on. And I think the really important thing is a vehicle might be more valuable to me because I deal in that product. So we're really excited about anything Globe Car, Sunlight, Detlef. And when you're looking to part exchange, it is worth shopping around because your part exchange might be worth more to Tom than it is to me. Might be worth, that's something to bear in mind.
And would we get a better deal if we sold our van to Tom and then came to you with cash? You're going to offer me more for it. Well, your first question is you're going to say, how much did Sarah offer you?
Depends whether it's one of those brands that he doesn't like.
Well, there you are, which we don't know. So are you happier to do a deal when it's a cash straight purchase? Or is the PX?
I really like the part exchanges I like.
Yeah.
If you come in with one of those, I'll give you more, obviously it's something, for example, if you came in with a Sunlight 540 on an automatic, I'd be delighted to have it and would give you a strong price on it.
Because you know you can sell it.
I know I can sell it. I've got a list of people who want those vans.
Yeah. So, Peter, you've been out in Dusseldorf at Caravan Salon. If you ever get a chance to go, it's an amazing show. It's huge. And you've been seeing what's coming next year. We're going to be unpacking this in a lot of detail in Lincoln, and you'll be able to watch that online. But what trends did you see at the show for 2026?
I think campervans are increasingly the bigger panel vans, sort of 5.5 to 6.5 metre panel vans.
Yeah.
More and more manufacturers building more and more interesting designs in that size of vehicle. Four-wheel drives seem to be a growing...
Why is that a thing? I mean,
people love the look.
Is that all it is?
Yeah, it's about...
It's a Chelsea camper.
Yeah.
The trouble is for us on that is that someone might want to sell us a van and we say it's worth X amount of pounds. They go, we forgot to tell you it's four-wheel drive. And we say, okay, well, it's still worth X amount of pounds. That's exactly the same price because the market for someone buying a used 2-year-old vehicle, for us to say that one there is 50,000, but this one here is 58,000 because it's four-wheel drive, it makes it very difficult
to get a value.
What about automatics? Because automatics is worth the money.
It seems that almost everybody now wants an automatic.
Yeah.
So is that causing a problem with manuals second-hand?
No, sorry, Sarah. Not for me. It's not. No. It doesn't
for
really
us.
matter if we've got a 4-year-old panel van or coach built or manual automatic, still very sellable. If it's an auto, we always go, oh, lovely, it's automatic. But you can guarantee when it comes into stock, someone looks at it and they go, oh, it's bloody automatic. It doesn't really matter. But the automatic will. We will give more money for an automatic. Yeah. So it does hold its value.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the elephant in the room then, warranties. So you talked about back to base. So you buy from you, Sarah, and I live in Scotland because you've given me a great deal. And I'll take it to my local dealer in Aberdeen. And they said, well, you didn't buy it from us. You bought it from Sarah down south. Take it back there. But that's like a 9-hour journey. Has anyone had this experience? Frustrates the heck out of me. Yeah, lots of hands up. So... Sarah, how do you deal with this? Do you ever turn people away because you didn't sell them the vehicle? And be honest.
Okay, so...
I know you will be.
Yeah, thanks. I'll talk about Malibu because that's we talked about this last year, didn't we? They've now got a system whereby they'll pay me more per hour to service someone else's vehicle, like a Malibu van that's been sold elsewhere. However, being totally honest, there is another Malibu dealer within a certain range of us that we won't touch their vans until they're a year. Because why? Because we are being used, and I think you had this at Chelston with Fiat when you were there.
I wasn't going to mention names.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Neither am I. But we're not their warranty centre.
Right.
And we're not prepared to. We're a small company. Our customers are our priority. We can't deal with 3 pages of warranty that another dealer not a million miles away should be doing.
That they should have perhaps picked up when it was brand new.
Yeah, or have the workload capacity. So when I ring up and say, I've just spent £150,000 with you, my XYZ doesn't work, they should be able to go, Mr. Customer, when can you bring it in? Thursday or Friday? Not, Mr. Customer, we've got a space in 4 months' time.
Right.
And I think that is something that I try and do all the time with the business, is be flexible. We have a Friday at work where we don't book workshop work. We use it as overflow so that if we have a customer who has an issue, they can come in.
Right.
You know, it's about, I think, providing the best customer service and how I would want to be treated.
I think that's also you keeping our businesses at a size that you can control.
100%.
The examples you're giving, I think, the other side of it are when these businesses have just got bigger and bigger, and they've had a great couple of years, so they expand their showroom, they build a bigger workshops, the owner spends his life abroad, and everything then just goes to rack and ruin then. And I've seen that for years in this industry, where people get carried away and then they grow and grow and grow. And then I hear customers saying, oh, we always ever used to deal with ABC motorhomes, but it's changed. It's not like it used to be. Well, when it used to be, it was like 5 people and it was all lovely and cozy. And they've,
And they've become corporate. Which, of course, you guys are small, family, friends type businesses. I mean, we were chatting about your team. And you said I'd happily go for a beer with all my guys, except one. So, Tom, let's talk servicing then. When it's brand new, we know we've got to have it serviced every year in order that we can go back to a main dealer to get any warranty work done. But on a used van, once it gets to 10 years old, how important to you is the service history when I'm trying to sell it to you? And my service by now is a bit patchy.
Okay, service history is really important, but when it gets to 10 years old, as long as it's, and again, a lot of people will do it on mileage rather than years. So you could go 3 years without a service, but he's only done 4,000 miles in those 3 years.
Yeah, but I've lived in it full time.
We wouldn't be interested in your So service history is really important. Sarah said something earlier on about the 5 or 10 year warranties on a new vehicle. If we buy a year-old vehicle off someone, one of the first things we want to make sure is that it has kept up its manufacturer servicing, because then that can be passed on to our customer. So as long as it's got as long as we can check with Eldis or Swift or whatever that it's had the manufacturer's warranty upkeep by having it serviced, then we can pass that on to our customer. So the remainder of the 3 years, we can then transfer ownership to that customer. So that's really important. If that for some reason the vehicle's 10 years old and the manufacturer's warranty's run out, from our side of it, we make sure the vehicle's serviced before it goes out. We would never buy a vehicle with no service history. I mean, that type of customer, I think, probably is long gone now. But we used to get, years ago, so many customers that say, oh no, my husband Bob, he does all the servicing on the van and he writes in his little pen in the book where he says. But now it has to have proper main dealer stamps in it to make it, to hold its value, to keep its value.
And it's so important to have a habitation check done at least every year. I mean, on our hire fleet, they're done every 5 or 6 times a year because they're on hire. But it's only a line in the sand in that moment, isn't it, that the gas and electrical systems are safe that day. But
it's also important to get a habitation done by a reputable dealer.
Yes.
Because a habitation service costs £400 now.
Under 200 if you go mobile.
And
they're not expensive.
We've been out to collect vehicles from people that have sold it to us, and they said there's no point looking at it. We had the hab service done by Jimmy Boy down the road, and he's done all that. But honestly, the things they've missed. So that's important to have that done at a reputable dealer.
Yeah, and some sort of affiliated dealership or workshop.
NCC approved.
NCC or MCA, for example. Sarah, Tom gives the example of a new house. So basically, we have friends that bought a new house and they had no end of problems with it. what would you say then to the logic, well, I'll buy a year-old one because someone else has shaken out all the problems and they've had all the hassle of going back to a dealership, what's the motivation then to buy a new one? Surely a year-old is better because all the issues are gone.
You can, yeah, I can see Tom's point of view. However, you don't get that new feeling. You don't get that upholstery that's never been used, a toilet that's never been used, everything that is pristine and not being used. People can come back to us with, oh, this trim's not aligned, this, and we'll fix it all, we'll put it right, it goes through the workshop, it PDI'd. When you buy a second-hand vehicle, it is what it is. If someone's dragged a, I don't know, pushchair through the middle or damaged some woodwork or whatever, that's exactly what you get. So I like new stuff. I buy new vehicles. I buy new cars. The biggest problem we sometimes have is someone who comes in and buys an almost new vehicle and expects us to make it into a new one, and you can't do that.
No.
You know, I can't rebuild a van and make it new.
So what you're saying is the benefit is there's no poo in the loo.
Yeah.
On a new one.
Yeah.
Some of ours don't have poo in them either.
Only some of them. So just staring into the future then, as we kind of round this up. Peter, your view of the future with pricing, as we touched on earlier, you've seen a kind of where the pricing is going for 2026. Where is it going beyond that? I mean, Sarah said that Pilot are dropping prices for 26.
Yeah,
where are we going in 5 years' time?
Hard to say. I mean, they're not the only ones. I don't want to single out Pilot because I've seen it from other manufacturers. And there's one big German manufacturer. I said, you seem to have lowered your prices. And you said, yeah, we put more spec in. There's about 12 grand's difference. I thought, that's going to cause you guys a bit of an issue.
Yeah. Particularly Sarah's stuffed with 2025 stock.
But I think it's very varied. Equally, I was at a UK manufacturer who seems to have put their prices up a bit compared with last year. So I think it's going to be a very interesting NEC this year. I think some brands are going to look a lot more competitive than others for 26. Beyond that, I think increasingly we want more and more and more in our motorhomes, don't we? And that,
we do.
And that pushes the prices up.
Yeah.
We've got the environmental thing too. I drove down in a hybrid campervan, which is a complete first for me, but it's 18 grand more than the diesel version.
Wow.
I can't see it, how people are going to justify that.
No.
And if we go fully electric, they're going to be really, really expensive when they eventually do come.
And they will come, but let's not go down that rabbit hole today. I've been down there many times.
Yeah, I think in 5 years we're only going to see prices going up, aren't we?
Well, I'm interested to know what you think. I think they will.
Just an aside, one German manufacturer took to the show. It's not coming to the UK, but they took a van which starts. It's a 6-metre Fiat panel van starting at €40,000. But he said that is for a very, very basic van. Even some of the windows are optional. You don't get alloy wheels. You get basic steel wheels. You get black plastic bumpers, that sort of thing. You don't get a loo, you get a cupboard for a loo, and then you can spec it with a cassette or you can spec it with a porta potty. Everything is optional.
Sounds rubbish.
Now, but would a few buyers go for that so they can buy brand new? Maybe add a few bits as they go along? I don't know. Is that something?
What's interesting is the market's changing as well. We're changing as an audience. There's younger people coming into the market for sure. The hashtag van life is one of the biggest hashtags on Instagram. We're seeing this new trend of vans and 4x4s, which I assume is just to attract a younger and maybe older market that's new to the trend. Sarah, your view on long-term kind of values and trends going forward, on new particularly?
I'm feeling quite positive on new. We've had a really good show. We've had a good weekend. I think 2026 will bring a bit of stability. I don't think there'll be price increases on new. I think the interesting thing from my point of view is where the second-hand market will be. Many new dealers got burnt from the NEC in October where they guaranteed prices on the second-hand. And then when they traded them in, because there was delay in production, they were almost paying full retail for them. So I think the NEC will be interesting about the second-hand market is what I'm watching at the moment to see where that goes and where all the prices are.
But of course, at the NEC, we can only see new. It's shows like this where you can see new and used. But on used, Tom, what's your long-term prediction and how are you feeling about the market?
I think the market, having done it for so many years, we've had little ups and bumpy times in the market, but the market's I've been remember seeing you 30 years ago. And
I'm only 32.
Too many jokes there.
Yeah.
The market's always been good. It's always getting better. You know, when we say when a dealer says it's been a tough year, if he's doing the job properly, it should be a normal year. It's not, you know, we've had great times and then it peaks back down to where it should be again. Our unit sales this year, I think, will be about 10% down on a COVID year, which we sell about 550 vehicles a year. So it's 50 units down on when COVID we were hitting 600. So that's fine. Music to my ears is when someone like Sarah says they're having a great time, because when the new dealers stop selling the new, that our supply of the used starts to slow down. So we need these guys to keep pushing the new out so that the year 2, 3, 4-year-old vehicles are available on the market for us to buy. Interesting what you said there about dealers valuing a part exchange and guaranteeing that part exchange for delivery in a vehicle in 9 months' time. Again, 2019 to 22, that was absolutely fine, no problem whatsoever. We have 1 or 2 main dealers now that ring us up asking, you know, if we're buying used stock. And when they tell me what they need for it, I said, you're miles out. And they sort of go, yeah, we know that, but we guaranteed a price 9 months ago. And that's how quickly it can change when they're part exchanging a year or 2-year-old vehicle. But I think it's all positive, and I think that the used vehicles are still holding up really well.
Yeah, and you're right, it is a turbulent market, it's changing. And 30 years ago, what was the screen price? 21 grand for a brand new Swift?
I think I might have said this time last year, but I remember when the Swift Contiki hit 30 grand, and the chap I was working with at the time, we both sat there and went, that's it, it's finished.
Wow. 3 times that today. Yeah. Can I say a massive thank you to Sarah from Southwest Motorhomes, from Tom from Somerset Motorhome Centre, and our dear friend Peter for joining me for this little session. Can we show a really traditional round of applause and thanks? Thank you.
So that's Sarah Foord, Tom Lower and Peter Vaughan, all with you on the stage. Sarah Foord is the Managing Director at Southwest Motorhomes.
Yep.
Tom Lower is Managing Director at Somerset Motorhome Centre. And Peter Vaughan?
He is from Out and About Live, Motorhome and Campervan YouTube channel. He's been around the industry a very long time. So I guess the big question is, watching or listening to this, are you any the wiser? It wasn't quite the conversation I thought we were going to have, but I thought it was really insightful, particularly to get the dealers' insight into some of the challenges they are facing right now, and also for you as a consumer, the stuff you need to know and what might affect your buying decision. So it's all about doing your research and making sure you're buying the best product for you and your use.
These advice centres seem to be doing the trick, don't they, Matt?
They are brilliant. They were so well attended all weekend. Loads of people coming up to me at the end of every day, particularly at the end of the weekend, and saying thank you and how useful they'd been. So yeah, if you're going to a Warner show, do check the programme at the Advice Centre. They are invaluable. They're great.
Matt, if someone's after a motorhome or just needs theirs looking after, where would you send them?
Well, I've gone to RV Supercentre for years whenever I've needed roller team spare parts in particular, so I know firsthand how helpful they are. They're not just about parts though, they're the UK's one-stop shop for motorhomes, whether you're buying new, used or even an ex-hire, if you're after great value.
And they do servicing as well, don't they?
Yep, full service centres, parts, accessories, bodywork repairs that are insurance approved, and they're NCC accredited workshops too. What I like is it's a small and super friendly team, but with nationwide sites. They're in Toddington, Edinburgh and Belfast. So they've got that local feel, but with a huge reach.
Sounds like the full package.
Exactly. You can find out more at rvsupercentre.co.uk, and we'll stick the link in the episode description too.
It's the Motorhome Matt Podcast with me, Keith Gooden.
And me, Motorhome Matt.
It's brought to you with thatleisureshop.com and sponsored by Ripe. Right now, it's time for the questions and answers, where you ask the questions, and as I say every week, he, the expert, Motorhome Matt, will give you the answer, and if he doesn't know, he'll ask somebody who jolly well does. First of all, Joe and Andy are in Guildford.
Hi Matt, it's Jo from Guildford. Andy bought a motorhome, a used motorhome, and it was adapted especially for disabled people. So when he bought it, it already had the lift on it. And basically, I want to know, if we went to a warranty company, would they actually cover the adaptions? would they expect them to have been made by the manufacturer, or would they be happy that the dealer we bought it from, who's a conversion agent, had converted it already? Would there be exclusions because they converted it and not from the manufacturer part? I'd be really interested to see your take on things, especially as I know we listen to your show all the time, and Andy absolutely loves listening to the things that you say. You have been so helpful and you continue to be helpful. So I'm hoping on this occasion you can help answer these questions for us. Bye for now.
Thanks to Joe and Andy there in Guildford. So, Matt, and this is an important question, isn't it? A lot of people who have difficulty getting around or need adaptations because of disabilities have them done. They cost quite a lot of money. But when it comes to warranties, are they covered?
If they go wrong, are they covered?
Yeah.
And I thought this was a great question because, you know what, I didn't know the answer. So I did go and ask Warranty Solutions Group. They're Motorhome Matt approved, and I asked Steph, the group director, in fact I sent Steph the audio, Joe's question, and she came back and said, "Hi Matt, regarding the lady in the wheelchair with the motorhome lift access, I just spoke to Dennis, our claims manager, and he said that it would be covered under our plans." Which I think is fantastic. I think this would be an easy one for a warranty company to wriggle out of and say, well, it's not factory fitted, it's not original spec. You know, this is very much an adaptation to the original motorhome, but they would cover it. So there we are. So you can see more about Warranty Solutions Group on the Motorhome Matt approved directory. They are an amazing company with a fantastic policy. And I was delighted, Joe, to say, yes, they will cover if your lift goes wrong. And I know that your lift has failed because we did speak about it. And the warranty company you have cover with are not going to cover it. So maybe Warranty Solutions Group are unique in this. I don't know. But anyway, good news, they would cover it.
But the advice is when you're buying the warranty or any insurance is make sure that the companies have got all the information that...
absolutely.
Give them more information than you think that they require. So, as Matt says, companies can't wriggle out of it by saying, oh, you didn't tell us about that. Tell them everything. Write it down and send it to them as well.
Get them to reply and confirm it. So if you've got specifics you need covering, make sure the warranty company know and you know that they're going to cover it.
Colette Harding is in North Wales and she, Yum, has got a question about food.
Hello, Matt. This is Colette Harding from North Wales. You already kindly gave me some advice by email last week about attending the Malvern show. So my husband and I have booked day tickets for the Friday and Saturday. I look forward to seeing you in person, but I have a silly question to ask. Do you know if we are allowed to take food onto the field? Because I was recently at an event where we were all stopped and searched at the gate before we entered the field and told we couldn't take any food in, only water. I saw a lady getting her fruitcake confiscated and I had to drink my can of pop in front of the guy before he would let me in. So I thought I would just check. Thank you.
There is nothing worse than having your fruitcake confiscated, is there?
What a brilliant question, though.
It is a good question, but I assume it's because of these shows, the show organisers charge all the concessions a ton of money for being there to sell you food and drink, and isn't that what's behind it?
Well, they make a commission on everything they sell. The great news here is that Warners allow you to bring your own food and drink into the show. There's no searching of motorhomes at all. I've never heard of any motorhome being searched going into a Warner show, particularly for food and drink. So, in fact, I've seen some amazing kitchen setups with huge barbecues outside some of the motorhomes. We take all our own food in as traders. Alcohol is allowed as well, so you can consume your own food and drink. And yeah, there are food concession outlets at the showground and there's bars as well, but there's no pressure on you to have to use them. So yeah, bring your own food and drink and I'll see you there. We'll raise a glass together.
Dean Holmes is in Stornoway. We'll be buying a motorhome later this year, he says. We'll be buying used up to £40,000, and we've seen a lot of negative comments about damp issues in motorhomes. So would a campervan be a better buy? Also, do the new Euro 6 engines suffer with the constant AdBlue issues that cars keep having, such as NOx sensor? What's NOx?
Nitrous oxide.
blocked EGR,
exhaust gas release valve. Are you putting me to test?
or DPF?
Diesel particulate filter.
There you go. Well, Dean, isn't that AdBlue the stuff that's made out of pig's pee?
No, it's not. It's a myth. We've covered this before. You know full well it's not pig's urine. Campervan or panel van conversion is undoubtedly less prone to damp, but my advice is always get a damp check. Ideally a full habitation history, or get a new habitation report done. A damp check from an approved company such as an NCC approved workshop. Just Google approved workshop scheme to find one near you, or look on Motorhome Matt approved. There are 2 there if you're local to us. We use MJB Tourist Services and Bristol Caravans. They're the 2 I favour. Bristol Caravans specialise in motorhomes that are under manufacturer's warranty, so they will do the inspection for you. Other issues, Ford Transit wet belt, we've covered this extensively. That's much publicised. And the AdBlue issues of non-starting due to crystallisation of the AdBlue on the fuel rail. So when the motorhome's not started for a while, the AdBlue crystallises. If you get it on your feet, your shoes go white. It's horrible. And that happens in the fuel rail, so that stops them starting. There's lots of other issues too with the newer motorhomes, Euro 6 ones, oil level sensors, less so DPF and EGR. We're not struggling with that on our newer vehicles on our hire fleet. But my advice would be get a warranty. We referred earlier to Warranty Solutions Group. Put one of those on it. You can buy one yourself. £499. Quote Motorhome Matt and get a discount of 5% off that. And that will cover you for any eventuality. And all these issues are covered by them. And you can find out more at mhmp.info/warranty solutions.
What does this AdBlue do?
It's a lubricant, so it helps bring the emissions down and helps lubricate the fuel around the engine, because a lot of the additives have been taken out of fuel, but the engines still need it to generate, what it needs to run smoothly without generating loads of emissions.
Matt, do you ever worry about campsite Wi-Fi?
I do sometimes, yeah. Insecure Wi-Fi can be ripe for hackers and phishing, and that's why I use NordVPN. It locks down my connection so no one can snoop. Even if I'm tethering through my phone abroad, it keeps my data private. And the bonus? I can stream TV as if I'm sat at home in the UK. So Mrs. Motorhome Matt can keep up with Love Island and Strictly as much as she wants.
Well, that sounds like peace of mind and a bit of entertainment as well.
Exactly, if you love Love Island, which I don't. But if you want to try it, click the link in the description and you'll get extra months free on the 2-year plan. And there's a 30-day money-back guarantee.
So how do people get in touch then, Matt?
We would love it if you did. I always say if you have a question, chances are hundreds of others think, that's a great question. It'd be like the food at a show. Head to mhmp.info/ask Matt. You can fill out the form or record it, and please tell us where in the world you are.
And if you're looking for trusted brands and services, then make sure that you visit the Motorhome Matt approved directory. It's at mhmp.info/approved.
And remember, please follow on your favourite podcast app if you're listening. And if you're watching, make sure you click subscribe and the little bell on YouTube.